Hello, my name's Elizabeth Price, and you have arrived at Seeing Ink Spots. This is my public Stampin' Up! Independent Demonstrator Facebook page, business page. So today it's time for an Upstyle Your Paper Pumpkin class. And as soon as I see somebody pop on, I'll officially begin. But I will share with you today, it is kind of it's a little gray outside, and it's been raining and thundering and storming, and we're supposed to get snow. Can you believe it? Anyway, we'll see if it actually happens. So I do see somebody has popped on here. And I will go ahead and officially begin with good Thursday morning and welcome to Upstyle Your Paper Pumpkin. As I mentioned earlier, my name's Elizabeth Price, and this is my Facebook business page, Seeing Ink Spots. I also have another Facebook page called Seeing Ink Spots Backstage Pass, and I'm inviting all of you to become a member of that group. So, all right, Marcia is watching. I'm not sure who else is watching. And we'll just have some fun today. Linda, hello, Linda. I just sent you an email. Check your email because I've given you an invitation link to the Backstage Pass. And the reason I did that is because Linda has signed up for my April class. Yay, I'm happy to have her. So, happy to be here today. Lots to talk about and lots to stamp. So let's begin. I'm gonna flip my camera so that you can see my workspace, and we will begin. So here comes the hand. Always the most awkward part of class, right? And then let's flip that camera down so we can see my workspace. I have to do a little adjusting here. Okay, let me try and get rid of that. And this, okay. All right, so today's class, as I mentioned, we are upstyling our paper pumpkin kit called Memorable Meadows that was just from this past March. Good morning, Denise. It's good to have you here. It's good to have everybody here. Everybody is always welcome. If you love to stamp, you are in the right spot. Okay, so let me tell you what else is coming up class-wise this month. In the Backstage Pass, next week, I am going to be using up some of my Memorable Meadows Designer Series paper. And if you had a purchase in March, you have received one of these Use It Up class kits. There's a lot in here that we'll be using for this class. But if you don't have this paper, not to worry. I'm going to be using what's left over of my kit today. I'm going to be using the stamps because it all matches. That's why I planned this class to kind of go along with today's class. So this is kind of part 2. If you are not a member of the Backstage Pass and you want to be, just leave me a comment. How do I become a member? And I will help you out with that. Basically, what you need to do is sign up for a class. And once you're in, you're in. How fun is that? There is tons and tons and tons of classes there. And they've got a library of photo albums for them. It's just all kinds of good fun. Okay, so that's next week. It'll be at Thursday at 10 o'clock as we normally meet. So bring your stuff. It's going to be fun. I mentioned, or maybe I failed to mention, I'm going to be highlighting the free stamp that we got in our Paper Pumpkin kit this month. So y'all have that already. All right. Pickup class for April is going to be the Lovely and Sweet bundle. And the Lovely and Sweet bundle is this one here, plus the dies. And my Technique Time class for March was the Notes of Nature bundle. So I thought this is going to be part 2. So in our Notes of Nature bundle, I'll just give you a quick look at the cards we made for that class. They're very beautiful. We design the fronts, we make the fronts, and we do something on the inside. So this is a more basic fold, but man, the detail in this one, it's jam-packed. And then this is a beautiful one as well. This one was a fancy fold from the class. So in the kit, they had everything to make that. Obviously, they needed the stamps and dies. And then this one is a beauty. And I love the inside of this one. So if you're looking for an Artfully Avid stamp class for April, I'll be using the Enduring Beauty hybrid bundle. But this gives you an idea of what we did in March. Part 2 is coming up in the pickup class. That'll be in 2 weeks. All right. And let me show you. April is the Enduring Beauty, and it's a hybrid bundle, and it's going to be a really, really cool class. You can order a kit if you're in the United States. I'll provide everything. You need to provide the stamps, the hybrid bundle. But it's going to be a beautiful class. Alicia says, hi, can't stay on long, but wanted to start it. Great. I'm glad you can stay on for a bit. Let me show you this. These are the stamps. And then the hybrid bundle has dies, obviously, and it has all these cool stencils. I mean, look, I've been using them like crazy. And we're going to have some fun. I'm going to give you a peek. I don't really ever do this. I don't really show the cards we're making just because I kind of like it to be a surprise. But man, these are so pretty this month. You're going to want to join the class for sure. Maybe if you're joining, share it with your friends so that they can come along as well. And then, of course, I always love a good belly band card. So we have some fun happening with this Enduring Beauty bundle here. Don't miss it. You can register from now until the 19th of April, or until kits, until I run out of kits. So I only have a limited supply, but I've opened things up to register. I'm going to put it out on, you'll see the information here later today. And it's already up on my blog, and I've already had people starting to sign up. So, like I say, I've got about half of my kits left. All right, enough business. No, sorry, a little bit more business. I want to start just a little bit. Next month, we're going to upstyle the Delicate Wings Paper Pumpkin kit. But I wanted you to be sure that you know that there's a new set of dies for April, May, June. And so here they are. They're called Thanks and Beyond. Okay, so there's 4 dies here. There's the word thanks. Everybody can use that. You've got this stitched hexagon. And then the butterfly here, there's actually 2 pieces. You have the outer piece, and then you have the detail piece for the inside. So this is available now while supplies last. All right. And if you need that number, let me tell you what the number is. You can place an order with me, and you can earn free classes. But the the item number is 164397. Fun stuff right there. We're going to be using that a whole bunch for the next following 3 months Paper Pumpkin. This month, we're still going to use the dies that we've been using that match that. Okay, so let's begin. We're going to start today with almost everything that I'm using is from the kit. I've added a few extra little pieces. So I mentioned earlier that today's Memorable Meadows actually coordinates with the Meandering Meadows Sweet Collection. And you can find that Sweet Collection in the online exclusives. So there is a stamp set, there are dies, there's paper, and this paper is by the same artist who did all the designs for this kit. But there's also, these beautiful, they're chalk created pastoral scenes that are so fun and fancy. So we're using a little bit of this today. I'm also getting a little bit of help with the Garden Meadow dies. And so there's a stamp set that matches the Garden Meadow. There's a wheelbarrow and a watering can and different things, but there are also some standalone dies in here that are super fun. So I'm going to use this fence for today, but there's also this great arch piece, and there's grasses and bushes, and there's just some really cool things. So we'll see more of these next week. and more of that paper. But I wanted to bring out this die here because I am going to use this cute little fence for our first project here. So, and I'm going to cut that fence from pecan pie. So here is, I've already done it ahead of time, but look how cute that is. I mean, come on. Super, super sweet. That is, like I say, I cut it from pecan pie, and I chose pecan pie because that is one of the colors, even though it's not necessarily in this color palette here, it is one of the colors from the Meandering Meadows Sweet Collection. So it all just kind of goes together. All right, so here's what I'm using. I'm using a card base here, and this is the one with the two big trees. That's the card base you're gonna want. I also have one of the purple vellum labels from the kit. I have the long flag banner. I have one of the trees. Now, when you get these trees, be sure to be patient when you punch these out and just carefully push at each spot so that you don't break anything. And I have used the little dies. The little dies, let me see, here they are. Got to grab the right bag. So these little dies are the Love of Spring dies. And I have used, so this die here, you'll recognize this leaf now because that is one of the leaves that are from the wood. See, that's the same leaf. This is in wood. That's the die cut, just a little bit smaller. So I have die cut this leaf twice, okay? I die cut it on one of the other bits of purple here. So that's one of them. And then this one is Gorgeous Grape cardstock. So that's what I'm using for this card here. And I've done those, like I said, ahead of time, just so that it doesn't take too long today for class. So with my card base, we're going to keep it simple here, and we're going to fold it in half as it has been scored and give it a good burnish with a bone folder there. And I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. And the first thing I'm going to stamp is my label here. And I'm going to stamp it with the You've Been on My Mind. And I'm just going to use the ink spot that came with the kit. And I think I need to clean this because it was blue or purple or, yep, it was blue. So let's just give it a, I don't always clean my stamps right after I use them. I do it before I use them. Okay, so here goes the garden green spot, ink spot that came in the kit. And I'm going to stamp this. Let me bring in, I need some color here so that I have a little bit of contrast. I guess I'll use my card here. I'm not going to stamp on my card, I promise. But I just need a little bit of contrast so I can see where I'm stamping. Because stamping white on white sometimes is a little bit hard to do. Okay, so this is where I'm going to stamp. I'm going to stamp it in the upper, I'm going to kind of come to the right end, and I'm on the upper edge of the label, okay? So in a more unusual spot, okay? Next, I'm gonna take a little bit of liquid glue, and this is liquid, our green cap glue, or, the long name, the Tombow multi-purpose mono adhesive, whatever, big long name. I have to do this here in Idaho. You hear me say it every time. I have to unclog my glue every day. It's the ritual, And I'm doing just a little bit on the top of this fence, okay? And so I'm using, I put my glue in this little tiny bottle here. It's like a precision tip, and I purchased it from Amazon. So if you're wondering where you can get them, you can get them there. And I'm going to mount this right underneath the greeting, okay? Just like that. And believe it or not, that's the only stamping we're doing on this first card. Talk about keeping it simple. Now I want to layer the purple behind this. Now for this purple though, I'm going to do something a little bit different, and that is I'm going to flip it over, okay? And I kind of like this steely gray, kind of icy purple color. So that's what I'm going to do for this first card. And let me see where my original, I was wondering if I put dimensionals behind this or behind the next layer. So I put my dimensionals actually behind the next layer. So I'm going to take my label here and just do a little bit of glue. And I'm not doing a heavy amount because I am actually mounting this on vellum and I don't want it to get curly. And so, you know, I'm kind of a little higher. So I've left more showing on the top than on the bottom. And I'm, you know, so it's definitely offset. And I kind of like that look. Now we're going to put dimensionals on this whole piece. Okay, so we'll go 1. And I'm putting it where the label is so that it doesn't show through the vellum, because that wouldn't be good. Okay, there's that. Now I'm going to situate this so that I'm just going to kind of come down a little bit so that it looks like this little fence is kind of a welcoming, you know, hey, we're coming into a really pretty garden or something. So it's just kind of right over that pathway. And I'm going to take my tree here and I'm going to put a dimensional. I'm going to put a mini because I'm just going to put a mini. And actually I want this to be the front, this to be the back. I'm going to leave all my wooden pieces today the natural color. I know you can paint them and color them and do cool things with them, but I kind of think I just want them natural. I want the wood to stand out. How about you? What have you guys been doing? Have you colored any? Okay, so you've kind of noticed I put a little bit of glue here on the trunk, and then I have my mini dimensional, and I'm going to just add this right to the card like that. Kind of a fun, sweet little grouping. Let's add our leaves in here. And so I'm going to do that with a little bit of glue just on the tips, going light because it is vellum. And actually, let me do this. This is the cardstock. That was the vellum. Let me do the cardstock one first because it's going to layer on the bottom. And then the position of this one will tell me where I'm going to put the other one. So I'm just going to kind of tuck this behind the tree and behind that layer. I know it's a little bit dark because the card base is dark. And then we'll brighten this up just even a little bit more and add the vellum leaves right in there. So it's just kind of, you know, an interesting layer. And last, I am going to add, well, we've got 3 things to do here. You know what they're going to be. She's in the house. You know, I love some Winka Stella. And there are gems, some kind of iridescent white gems that came in the kit. And hello, I love me some linen thread. So I'm going to tie a fairly small bow. You know, I usually like a little bit of a bigger bow, but I want it to go kind of right in here. And I don't want it to be too big because I also, you know, kind of want this to be, you know, for a man or a woman. And I feel like if it's got a really big bow on it, it might be a little But if it's small enough, it's just going to kind of finish out and add us one more little texture down in there. Okay, so we'll just give this a quick trim. Put our linen thread away. And I'm going to add my linen thread with, I'll add it with a glue dot because that's just kind of the quickest way we can set it up. Sometimes I use glue, sometimes I use a glue dot. It just depends on what my mood is, I guess. So I'm just going to put my glue dot on my knot right there. Maybe. And the reason I didn't put it on the paper itself is because I want to kind of mash the glue dot up so that it's not necessarily round. But man, it doesn't want to let me take the backing off. There we go. Tell it who's boss. Now, see how it's kind of round? I can kind of wiggle this with my finger and make it so that it's hidden behind that knot. And that's going to go right there. And then I like to use, I often use an old hobby blade here. I also use the, here's my Stampin' Up! One. It just wasn't as close in reach. So there's that. Now I'm going to add some gems here. I think these are really, really pretty. And I'm going to add several here. We're going to add, let's see. Let's add one right in here. We've kind of got this little grouping going on over here. So I'm going to accentuate it, right? Here's another one there. And I'm going to do 3 up in here. So let's do a large, kind of here by the tree. And let's do a small next to it, kind of right here. And then I'm going to do another one up here, another small. Okay, folks, all that's needed now is a little wink of Stella. And I'm going to kind of give it a shake and get it working here. And over some scratch paper, I'm going to just kind of prime it. I'm running out of juice on this one. I've still got some, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint the tree with sparkles. Hello. So you can color it or you can wink of Stella it, right? And then I'll go ahead and just do some splatter in here because, oh, so perfect. It's a dark card. I don't think you can see those splatters, but I sure see them. But I love how these little micro flecks of Wink of Stella sparkle in and amongst there. So there you have it. Hey, Julie Beltramo, my bestie is here. So that's my original. Here's my original. Here's the one that I just created. But fun times. So a few things added from that are not in the kit, but most of what we've got here is definitely from the kit. So there's our first card today. Now our second card, we're going to kind of move a little further away. We're still using all elements from the kit. Don't get me wrong. But we're going to add in a few other things. One thing that I'm going to add for this next card is this is a piece of bubble bath cardstock, and it is 8.5 wide by 5.5 tall. And I have a score line already in here at 4 1/4. So I'm just going to fold on that score line and give it a good burnish. That score line in there. So we have a nice crisp, clean crease. Woo, that's hard to say. Okay, I'm also going to use one of the cards from the kit here. And I'm actually going to cut it in half, okay? So here's I guess it's the front half. So here's my half here. And I'm going to trim this down. And I'm going to trim this down to, let me double check. I think we're trimming it down to 3.5 by 4 3/4. I'm just going to check here. I'm going to measure so I don't screw up. Yep, I'm right. 3.5. So it's going to be actually 4 3/4 wide by 3.5. All right, gotta say the width first, then the and you just kind of have to decide what portion you're going to take off. Maybe you take a little all off the bottom like I just did. Save that. That's a great piece for something. And then just decide, like I was going to say, if you want it all to come off the bottom or some off the top, some off the bottom. Same thing with the side. Okay. So that's 4 3/4 by 3.5. And I have cut this to fit. Now you're going to wonder, what have I done here? Let me just kind of show you. I've cut myself a postage die. So this is from the perennial postage. I'm not quite sure what the name is, but it's a great, I don't necessarily have all of the perennial lavender. I just have the dies, these postage label dies. And so this is the largest one. And is it the largest? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the largest. And so what I did is I actually cut 2 dies here. And the reason I did that is while this is going to layer on here, I thought, there's a lot of white in there that I could actually cut another, so I just ran them through at the same time. I'll save that. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but it just makes sense to kind of, use some of that paper in there so that we're not wasting so much just on a layer. So there is come on, that's pretty right there. Card's done. Just kidding. We're going to zhuzh it up even more. But when you've got a beautiful piece of artwork like this, and then we're enhancing it with a little bit of a backdrop, a matted layer. Okay, so I'm just gluing this to that postage dies. Have you guys purchased these postage dies? Do you like them? I like them just for, yes, the suite that it comes from is beautiful, the Sweet Collection, the perennial lavender. But I think this is great for everything. So yeah, they're for everything. And I'm going to glue this to my bubble bath card base. Okay. And there you have it. Pretty simple so far, but we need to make this a little bit more, we're stampers, so we need to do some stamping, and we're going to do some definite stamping now. So here's what I'm going to do, and you're going to think this is kind of nuts, but I've already stamped some, but what is this paper here? I think you can kind of guess what it is. I've been stamping on one of the envelopes. Let me grab an envelope here. I've got a bunch of envelopes in here that I've cut down, but here's the envelope. This is the back of the envelope. So this is actually the front portion of this envelope, okay? So this is great pattern paper, designer series paper. But the front of the envelope, let me see if I can find one that's full here. Here's the front. The inside, I don't know if you can see that. The inside is also white, okay? So I was using this to do some stamping. And let me tell you something that I learned while stamping on these envelopes and then fussy cutting whatever you're going to stamp out with your scissors. It is so easy to fussy cut this envelope paper because it's so much more lightweight than our cardstock. I'm like, oh, this is like cutting melted butter. It's fabulous. So let's see what we're going to stamp on here. I'm going to stamp with Gorgeous Grape. I didn't used to like Gorgeous Grape, and then as I started working with it more, I really like this ink color a lot. More so than I do the cardstock. The cardstock in small doses I really, really like, but the ink color I'm sorry, I said that wrong. The cardstock in small doses I like. The ink, you give me all kinds of this, and I'm going to use it a ton. I have really begun to like this Gorgeous Grape color. And it's gorgeous. Okay, so that was Gorgeous Grape. Tell me, do you like Gorgeous Grape? Do you use it very often? I use it quite a bit. Okay, here is Petal Pink. And I'm going to bring in the Garden Green. And I'm also going to bring in a little Fresh Freesia. And I'm going to turn to two stamps that are part of the free set that we got for with this kit this month, that great two-step floral. And it's these little, I'm going to call them jelly beans, just because that's kind of what they look like. There was a large and a small. Hi, Rose. My camera's a little higher than normal. Methuen, Massachusetts. Is that how you say it? Methuen? And is MA Massachusetts? I think so. It's not Maine. Okay, so I have these two jelly bean, and I am going to use these as paint brushes. And you're going to go, what the heck are you talking about? So first off, real easy. I'm going to take, this is the smaller one, and this is Petal Pink, and I'm going to ink up in Petal Pink, and I'm just going to offload all of that color right into the center of this stamp. Okay, center of that flower. And if you want it even darker, just do it again. Okay? And it's just going to create a little bit of a darker version of Petal Pink. Okay? And so there's that. Now, here's where it gets a little wild and crazy. I'm going to use fresh freesia. And now I'm going to switch to the larger of those two shapes, okay? And I'm going to ink up and I'm going to paint the flower with this stamp. And I'm just kind of pouncing it back and forth and filling in the flower here. And you're going, what the heck is that? That's kind of ugly, but watch. We're just going to keep loading color. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of pouncing the color upward. And if it leaves some lighter areas like that, I like that. I think it's interesting and unusual and unexpected. It's an unexpected way of kind of adding color to a stamped image. Have you ever tried something like that? Okay, we're gonna do the exact same thing we just did, only this time I'm gonna switch to garden green and we're going to fill in our leaf down here. So let me give this a quick clean. And I'm gonna use the small bean, the small jelly bean. And this time, let me show you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fill this in, and rather than stamping straight down like that, I'm actually going to kind of hold the stamp and I'm going to kind of rock it back and forth to kind of create and fill in. I'll show you. So, kind of have a camera in my way. But that's all I'm gonna do is I just kind of, let's see if we can get that to show up for you. So I just kind of stamped it on its side, back and forth, and worked my way up the stamp. And I can see I have still a little bit more ink there. So I can go ahead and just kind of add that right in there. So it's a much more subtle look than that strong image there, but by kind of stamping and rocking it back and forth and tapping all of that ink off, in other words, offloading the ink, that's what I'm gonna do to color these images in. So, I mean, I could have used blends or, you know, water painter or whatever, but then I'm just gonna come in here and fussy cut this flower. And I want you guys to try a flower on this envelope paper just to see how easy it is to cut this out. And you don't need to see me do all this, but you get the idea. You're actually gonna color 6 flowers. We're gonna need 6 flowers. And so I already have that done. Okay, so you don't need to sit there and watch me do all that. So these were done the exact same way from that piece of envelope. So you can actually get about 7 on the front of that flap of these flowers. There's that. And I'm going to use one of the labels here. And this label, I'm gonna stamp. You could pick any of the stamps from the set here, but I am gonna go ahead and pick Have a Beautiful Birthday. This will be a nice feminine birthday card. And I'm going to stamp in Gorgeous Grape, you know, to bring this in, that repetition from the flower. And this is just gonna go right in the center there. Just like that. Beautiful. And I'm done with this. I can put this one away. All right, so now I've got all my flowers here. My label, I'm gonna put this on with a couple dimensionals. Just like that. And then I'm going to cluster all of my flowers around the label here. So I'm gonna put the label over here to the right, just a little bit, like that. Okay, pretty. I mean, this could be just the way it is and just be done, but that's not quite my style. I like to add just a little bit more. Okay, most of these I'm going to actually put a dimensional. I'm gonna put a mini because I want them kind of, I don't want the dimensional taking over. But what I've done is I've put it towards the top of the flower. And I might be putting one on the leaf as well. Some will get it, some are not going to. So let me do one with, you know, just put it right down there at the bottom. And let's start with this one. This will be kind of my key, my first flower here that will kind of anchor. Whoops, I just threw it in my little garbage pile. This one, this first one here, I'm going to set it so that it kind of comes right over the label, just like that. So that's my first one. This one here, I'm going to put a dimensional on the back. And you know what? I'm going to cut the leaf off because I don't need it. And I'm going to tuck it behind the label here. So you wouldn't even see that leaf. So you could keep that leaf if you want to add another leaf somewhere. And so this one is just going to reach up behind there like that. Cute. And let's do some more. Let's see, this one already has a dimensional on it. And I'm going to glue the leaf end on this one. And I will do that with stuff here and there, is dimensional one end and glue the opposite end just to create some more, you know, dimension, visual movement there. And so this one is just going to kind of tuck right back in there. And yes, I am going over the edge intentionally. This leaf here, watch this. I'm going to use this. Just going to cut that off. And I'm going to add a little dimensional. You got to love mini dimensionals. That's the best thing ever. I love them. We're going to add just a little bit more. There's some more foliage there. And this one here, let's see, this one already has a dimensional on it. I'm going to do the same thing, half dimensional, half glue, just creating a little bit more dimension. And so I'm going to reach this one, is just going to kind of come under here and set it right in there. So I'm just kind of creating a little bit of a wildflower-esque look going across here. This one, let's totally change things up. And I'm going to make this one a shorter flower. Okay. So I'm going to put this one on with a dimensional. This is just the stem coming in here. And I'm going to have it come over in this area. And then we're just going to shorten this flower a little bit. Okay. So my biggest thing lately that I've been speaking quite a bit about in a lot of my classes is customizing your images and your die cuts to be just you and just, you know, turn that a little bit. And by shortening that, it's like, wait, how did she get a smaller flower? Where did that come from? So go ahead and customize your stuff. One more flower here. And I'm going to tuck this one kind of right back in there. Okay, so there are my flowers. I think it's cute. And I think it's, I just think it's kind of a fun look. But sometimes we get these pieces of, you know, designer series paper or card bases that can feel a little bit overwhelming. And how do you use it? Well, you know, look, I mean, it's beautiful this way, but look how pretty it is with, you know, as being, you know, the backing of some pretty stamped flowers. Let's make these flowers even prettier. Hello, where did she go? Here she is, a little bit of Wink of Stella. I'm just going to kind of brush in the direction of the petals of the flowers here. Get the centers if you want. Okay. So there's some Wink. Give a few splatters if you want. She's nice and primed, and so she's splattering really well right now. Okay. And then let's go back to the gems, if I can find them. Oh, here they are. They're kind of hiding. So let's add some gems and we'll be done. We'll call this one finished. So I'm just going to add some, you know, some of these sequins in a few key places here. We'll do one like up in here. Let's do a small one. Let's just tuck it down in there. And let's do a couple over here. A small and a large. So we'll do a small and a large, like right there. And there you have it. Super pretty. I hope you will try our fun, well, my fun kind of painting technique using the little jelly bean stamps and offloading all your ink and just kind of pouncing it around. It's a fun little technique. So no need for Stampin' Blends or watercolor pencils, anything like that. You can just do it that way. So there you have it. There is my second, more stepped up card. I had fun making that one. I want to move now into a 3D project. And this 3D project, I am going to actually bring in one of those pieces of paper from the Meandering Meadows. Is that the name? Yep, Meandering Meadows. So this is the DSP that coordinates with this month's kit. But I'm going to trim this piece of DSP down, and I'm also going to use one of the card bases from the kit. So there was a second half. I've already used it on my prototype, my plan for the class. So this is just half of one of those other cards, okay? So we're gonna use this. So we're gonna have this for the card for our, it's kind of like this is a box / sour cream container. So it's kind of a little bit of both. It's a little goodie 3D basket. Like I said, sour cream / box. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to cut myself a square from this cardstock here. And this will give us a nice rigid base for the card. And I'm going to make my piece here, and this is where it's important. You're going to make this piece, it's going to be a 2 7/8 inch square. Okay, so 2 7/8, so there's 2 7/8 by 2 7/8 square. Okay, save these pieces. We're going to use them in just a minute. Now this piece here, we're going to score at 3/4 all the way around. Okay, so let me get my cutting blade out of there. So there's 3/4, one time, 2 times, 3 times a lady, and one more. Here you have it. Okay, so this is the easiest box bottom ever. I mean, it's just a square with the same score lines all the way around. And I'm going to snip and I'm going to clip out some of that thickness so that my box bottom will form nice and easily. So just like that. So I'm clipping directly on that score line. Now on the tab, that's where I'm taking out a little wedge that will help my box form just a little bit easier. Okay, that one. And take that one and that one. Okay, so then we're just gonna fold upward and inward on everything. Okay, so fold your tabs inward like so. And we'll put a little bit of glue on these just to form this up. Okay. Enough glue to hold it, but not so much glue that it takes forever to set up, if you know what I mean. So I'm just gonna get that. Hello. It set up fast and I wasn't ready for it. Okay, so there's one side. We've got one corner going. Jolinda, how you doing? So you went to an organ recital where Rose Carey lives. Cool. If you don't know, Jolinda is incredibly musical. Okay. So there's my box bottom, and I'm just going to kind of let that glue really set while I work a little bit on this piece. And there's not a whole lot that we have to do to this piece, but what I'm going to do is this piece of paper, so this was a 2 7/8 inch square. This piece of paper here is going to be 6 inches. I'm sorry, it's going to be, yes, it's going to be 6 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall, okay? So here's my 5.5. I'm going to take that right off the bottom. Okay, save that. You never know when we're going to use it. And then I'm going to turn it back, and on the long side, I'm going to score at 3/8 of an inch. So we kind of have some interesting measurements here, but it's a little box that I saw somebody make, but they had no instructions, so I made up my own. And there you have it. But it's nice because it works with a piece of 6 by 6 easily. And you could do it a little longer and not trim some off. But so the only thing I'm going to do with this is fold it inward. Okay, just like that. Okay, so that's ready. Now, this next step is kind of weird, and I hope you can see it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper to the edge of my space here, and I'm just going to just going to kind of pull it over the edge of my counter so it starts to curl my paper just a little bit and make it so it's just a little bit easier to, you know, form into a tube. Okay, now that that's ready, I'm going to go back to this piece here and some tear and tape. We've been getting a lot of tear and tape in our kits lately. So I'm going to do some tear and tape all the way around my little box here. Or I should say my box bottom. Let's bring that around to that side. This one to here. Okay, that's all you need on tear and tape, just a little bit. And I'm going to burnish this on. You like the way I burnish? I'm just kind of doing it with my counter. Okay, get that one side burnished nicely so that you can get in there and peel it up. Yeah, easier said than done, right? Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to take this off all the way around. And I'm going to start by putting that fold right on that. So I'm coming right over that corner, right there like that. And now I'm just going to get that side on there. Give it a nice, you know, burnish that adhesive, and then just keep working yourself around. Now, after that first side, I like to put a little bit of glue right up in here. Okay? There's something about when you're making a 3D about the mix of the tear and tape and the glue. The tear and tape helps hold it initially, and then the glue is going to keep it there more permanently. Okay? And so I'm just working around that little tiny box. You can kind of see where this is going. So it's going to have a square bottom and then a sour cream container top. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of burnish that adhesive there. Let's do the same thing on this side. A little bit of glue, that's for the permanence. And the tear and tape is for that initial holding things in place. Okay, I'm going to reach my fingers in there. Just give it a good burnish. And that's where my folded edge, it came up a little bit, but that's totally okay. And I'll come in and get this last side. Okay, so you want the tab edge in there first, but let's get some glue right here. We're going to need some of that. And we're just going to go right to there. Okay. And now let's just reach this all the way around. I'm just going to kind of hold this for a second while it sets up a little bit. I'm going to reach in there with some glue. Easy. Pretty easy. I think it's pretty easy. You know, a box bottom and a tube. Okay, so I'm just going to have to hold this for a few seconds. What shall we talk about while my hands are full? But I'm just trying to hold things in place. Now you can kind of put it on its side and reach your bone folder in there to give it a good, I'm just putting quite a bit of pressure on the seam, and my seam is right there. So it's down here. Let me just roll it to that side. That's pretty good. So now you can see it's kind of flattened out on this side. It kind of looks like a teardrop, but what I'm going to do is just kind of reach across there. And this is where it looks a little bit more like a sour cream container. And we're just going to kind of train it to come down this side. And I'm not going to pinch it all the way down, but I'm going to pinch it, you know, partially just to kind of give it its shape. And I'm a little overhanded on my glue here. So let me clean it up while I can. Get rid of some of that glue. That's better. Okay, so this is when you would now fill your box, okay? Because, you know, it's just going to make it easier. So you could put some little candies in there and hand it off to somebody. But I need a few more pieces. And so the pieces I'm going to use from the kit, I'm going to use one of the wooden leaves. I'm going to leave it just the wood color. And I'm going to use one of these cool tabs. And you know, the tab could go this way. I'm actually going to do it this way. Anyhow, I'm going to take this and I am going to hope for the best here and punch 2 holes. Hope that I can punch and it would look, and it'll look fairly symmetrical, all right? So I'm going to punch 2 holes. I'm punching through everything at the same time. So there's 1 and 2. Oh, they're a little off, but that's, by the time you get everything on, no one's ever going to be the wiser. And I'm going to use some of the In Color jute trim. That's what they're calling it, In Color jute trim. And you could use blue, you could use the wild wheat. I'm going to use the wild wheat. This stuff is so curly. I'm actually going to pull on it a little bit to try and tame the curls. Okay, just about that much. So I'm going to use about 14 inches or so. Okay. Okay, there's my jute. And so from the back, I'm going to reach both ends. Do you remember a long, long time ago, we had a double hole punch that punched 2 holes? And we all called it pig nose because it kind of looked like a little piggy's nose. So yes, we're going to just kind of bring this right on through. And for now, I'm just going to tie that initial tie, right? And what you can do is it's not going to permanently close the box, but if you want to add just a little bit of glue in there so that your label kind of stays put, you can do that. Okay, we're going to add our leaf in here. And I'm going to actually tuck it underneath. I tied down a little too tight. I'm going to tuck it underneath, right up in there, like so. And I'm going to glue that, okay? So let me put a little glue on the back of my leaf here. And don't put so much glue that it's going to come, you know, smudging out, exploding out. You just want enough to hold it. So reach that up in there and then just kind of hold that for a few seconds. Julie remembers that punch. Yep, pig nose. We would use it for a lot of ribbon tying. Okay, so there's the start of my decor. Now I have a few other things that I want. If you remember, we cut apart the card base, right? So it was something like that. So I'm actually going to make another little banner here. I'm actually gonna make a couple banners. So I'm gonna cut one of these, and I'm gonna just rotate this around a little bit, but I'm gonna cut one to be 3/8 of an inch wide. I know we've got these crazy measurements again, 3/8, and that's fine to have a little bit of a tree on there. I think it's kind of pretty. And now this one, I'm gonna do 3/4. Okay, so they're just a little bit bigger. And I think I like the color of this. So let me do it one more time. This one's gonna be 3/4. You know, when I made my prototype, my first project version of this, the card is a little bit different from side to side. So the paper's a little different. Okay, so there are my 2 banners here. And I'm going to make both of these little flags. So I'm gonna snip up and then snip to it. And then I have to flip it over because I just can't seem to do the other side without flipping it over. Okay, so there's my first little flag. We'll do the same thing with this one. I'm gonna snip up in the center, go from corner to the top of that snip. I'm sure you've seen people do this a bazillion times, but there you have it. 2 quick flags. And I'm gonna stamp again. I like this. You've been on my mind. This is a great little stamp for being able to just kind of pop onto someone's porch unexpectedly and hand them a little goodie. I've been thinking of you. What's up, you know? And let's stamp it with the garden green spot. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna stamp with Night of Navy because there's a lot of navy in there. You could also stamp with Misty Moonlight, but I'm gonna do Night of Navy for this. Okay, and I'm gonna stamp it down here towards the end. This one I'm gonna do in the middle. Okay, just like that. That's all the stamping I'm gonna do on this. I'm gonna trim this off just a little bit. It's a little bit long. I'm gonna trim both of them. So let's see here. I think I'm gonna take this one that's a little narrower that has the greeting. I'm gonna take, I'm gonna take 3/8 off of that one. You guys, you can just chop these. They don't have to be exact. And I'm gonna take like a half off of this one because I want this one that's a little bit bigger to be a little longer. And I'm gonna put these 2 together like so, okay? And it's gonna kind of be like just kind of loose, but I'm gonna glue the one end. So just a little glue on this end. I like little flags like this to be a little bit, have some freedom and to be loose so that they can just kind of, you know, that they just kind of flop. Not that they're flopping, but Eunice, you still have your pig nose? Sorry, that is not what I mean. You have your pig nose punch. You do not have a pig nose. You have a very cute nose. People are think, that lady is so mean. Okay, so I'm going to layer these, and it's going to look like they're hanging from the bow, but they're not. They're just going to, I'm just going to add a little glue, just kind of right in here. It's going to be a faux tag. Oh. Foot in mouth. So there's my little faux tag. And now I'm going to turn to the dies, the Love of Spring dies, and I'm using a couple dies for to finish this little project off. I'm going to use the leaf, okay, and I'm going to use the love. And I know the love was intended for the January kit, but hey, you can use this at all times, right? And I have die cut myself a gold glimmer. I had a scrap of gold glimmer just sitting in my stamp case, and I thought, oh, hey, just the right size. So I've die cut the word love in gold glimmer, and I have die cut the leaves here. I've got 2. So I die cut one in Bubble Bath and one in Fresh Freesia. And while these 2 colors are different, they're very, very close, but I love layering these 2 together. I like to work in these 2 colors. And so I'm just going to kind of reach these, and I probably should have done it before I glued this one down, but these are going to just kind of tuck under inside there. So just kind of put a little bit of glue, or a lot of glue. Sorry, more than what I intended. So just enough that I can just kind of tuck these up in there. We're just kind of adding more layers of leaf. That's that. Keeping it easy. Let me put my dies back in the bag before I lose them. And then this is probably going to be the hardest thing you do on this project. And that is, I'm going to just come in here and add that right in there like that. Okay? That pop of gold just ties in with the wild wheat jute. It ties in with the flowers here from the artwork. So I'm using that precision tip again for the word love here. And you know what? It doesn't take a ton of glue. And you don't have to glue the whole thing. I'm just kind of hitting the tops of the letters because I know that's where it's going to stick to my flag here. So we'll just kind of bring that. And I'm going to have it kind of sit parallel with the You've Been on My Mind. I'm going to move it just a little higher. There we go. Hug it just a little bit more. Just like that. And then we'll tie a little bow. Oh. So I said 14 inches. I think you need more like 18. If you want, you know, just a bigger action up here on top, which, you know, I kind of like the tails a little bit crazier, but there you have it. You could add some of the sequins if you'd like, but just kind of fun. It's a different take on a 3D little package there. Oh, I did add gems to that one, so I guess I could add gems, but you get the idea. Have some fun. So now I need to actually kind of open them up again and then fill them so that I can deliver them to somebody. That is my 3D project using the Memorable Meadows kit. And I have one more card that I'm going to share with you this week, and then we'll visit this stamp set again next week, and we'll use the Memorable Meadows DSP for our Use It Up class. This next project, let's see, what do we need here? I am going to use this card base with the double tree, and I'm going to do, let me show you, let me see, where did I put that card? So I thought that a great way to showcase this artwork would be to do one of these kind of crazy pop-up cards, all right? So that's what we're gonna do. Now this pop-up card, the dimensions on this one are for a 4-inch wide card by 5.5. I have redone the measurements for 4.25 by 5.5. So you guys, bear with me. You're gonna have to do some funky measurements, but we are so bright and intelligent. I know we can all do it. So everything you're gonna do it twice, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do for our fun pop-up card is we're going to score from this edge here at 2 1/8, okay? And the reason we're doing 2 1/8 is because that is half of 4.25. Now I want you to take your card out. That wasn't so bad, 2 1/8, right? Give it a 180-degree turn, and let's do the exact same thing and score it at 2 1/8. Now make sure you're always in your trimmer all the way so that everything is square. So that's the first thing we did. We're gonna rotate it, and along the short edge, we're going to put our edge here at 1 and I have my notes. Yeah, 1 1/4. This is a slice. I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. So I had to double check my notes. Okay, 1 1/4, and we are going to slice. So we are cutting this time at 1 1/4. So that's not a hard measurement. And you're gonna do that from that first score line through the center one to the bottom one, okay? So it's gonna look like that, okay? Let me pull it out. You've got a little slit there, okay? From score line through this middle to the third. That was at 1 1/4. We're gonna rotate, folks, and do it again. 1 1/4. you're going to go from score line through the middle to the third. Just like that. So far, so good, not so bad. Here's where we get a little bit crazy on our measurements here. Your next score line is going to just be between the two slices, okay? So we're gonna go score line right down the middle from slice to slice, but let me tell you where it's gonna go. It's gonna go at 3 3/16. That's the obnoxious one. So you're gonna go 1, 2, 3. So it's just before 3 1/4. So at 3 3/16, and it has to be there or the card will warp. Okay, 3 3/16, a score line only between the slices. Okay, now we're gonna rotate 180 degrees and do it again. 3 3/16 is that tick mark right before 3 1/4. Between the two slices, you're going to score. Just like that. And that is what we're gonna do for our pop-up here. Now, for our folds, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take this middle section, okay? And I'm gonna kind of fold that way, right there, okay? But this one's gonna go, you know what, just do them both that way. It's fine, because we'll just switch the fold in a second, okay? So we're going that direction. Now, what I want you to do is don't fold on this one at all. Don't ever fold on that one, okay? In fact, we're gonna put a splint on it right away. So I have a piece of paper here. This piece of paper is, I believe it's 2 by 2 7/8. Let me measure it just to be sure. But what I'm gonna do is put this on here so that it won't bend, because we don't want that to ever bend. Yes, it's 2 by 2 7/8, and I want you to use glue on this layer, because the glue will help create more of a, it will kind of really solidify that and keep that so it doesn't ever bend. You could also do one from the back side, I guess, if you wanted. Okay, so there's that. Yes, I got glue on it. Shoot, queen. Okay, so now this one, we are going to bend forward. So these two that are, this one's gonna come forward, and then this is also going to come forward. And once you have these kind of in there, and I'll give you, I'll show it to you so you can see it. Okay. Okay, so we're kind of getting things going. So there it is that way. Not to worry, that's not exactly the way it goes, but make sure that it'll go in all directions, okay? Let's see here. I'm just giving it kind of a nice, we're just giving some crispness here. Okay, so now you can also pop that way so that your card can sit this direction. This is how I intend it to be, and let me tell you why I like it this way. Okay, so you've seen it a bunch of different ways. So right now, these little these little tabs right here, these are sitting in the front so that when the card opens, it kind of has a cool geometric, you know, you can kind of see down. That's kind of a good angle. When they go to the back, there's that view too, but let me tell you why. I mean, it looks good, but it's gonna, once you put stuff on the front of it, it's gonna be front heavy and topple over. So that's why I like it that way. But isn't that pretty? I mean, that way we see the whole scene, but we have some dimension and it's not just flat. Just flat is great too. But now let me know if you're, if every, you know, it kind of went a little bit fast, but I think you have it. So this one, 2 1/8, and then 2 1/8 when you rotate it. These were 1 1/4, and then these are 3 3/16. Okay, so now we get the fun part. I'm gonna go ahead and close the card the way I would put it in an envelope, and now this fills an envelope. So it's not just 4 inches wide. Where's my B version? So see the B version here, how it's narrower? So now this version fills the whole envelope. Okay, so now what are we gonna put on here? We're gonna have some fun. Let's do some stamping first. And I want to stamp with, oh, you guys, this image is so, this free stamp set is one of the best free stamp set I've ever seen them make. And I'm gonna stamp this with Night of Navy. Okay, and I'm gonna do a little bit, kind of like we did on the other flowers where we did some interesting stamping. We're kind of gonna do the same thing here. So I'm just gonna pop this down in the corner because yes, I'm gonna fussy cut it out. Okay, so there is my image, so pretty. And let's go to the 2 steps here. So I'm gonna open up and use Fresh Freesia. Okay, we're still in the same color palette. Here's Fresh Freesia. And here's this. Now, I'm gonna do, I think you guys have seen this before. If you haven't, this is a super easy technique that I think creates a cool effect. And I mean, I'm good with an image just being stamped, you know, the way it is, but I like to create, I mentioned it earlier, kind of a custom look, a one of a kind, and I'm gonna just let the weight of my block stamp the ink off. So see how it's left some in the center? I'll give a huff on that. And now I'm going to fill this in, and I'm going to get a mottled look. It's going to have some highs and lows, and just by stamping partially off just the weight of the block, it gives me a whole different look rather than just a solid image. So that was that image. Now let's turn to, let's do the leaves, and I'm going to use some Old Olive for this. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with the leaves that I did with the flowers, and that is let the weight of the block stamp off. Okay, gives me that unusual look, and there it is. And so it's still pretty dark, but where you're seeing it darker is where it's lighter right there. Okay, now this image here, this is a funky little stamp. Let me show you what it looks like. I'm going to stamp this with the garden green. Okay, so if we ink this up, let me just show you what it looks like. It looks like that, right? And you're like, what the heck is that? I think, I'm pretty sure it's intended to give us some interest right here on the veins of the leaf. But I've picked my stamp up, and I'm just picking it up. And just kind of like we did earlier on that other flower where we stamped off and repeatedly stamped off, I just offloaded and I tapped it back and forth and I kind of blended. Let me show you here just on the plain white. If you're here and then you just kind of pick up and it's kind of like that. So it kind of is a little hard to see in that Old Olive, but there you have it. And it just kind of blends it out rather than having such a tight line. And as this dries, it's going to lighten and look really, really cool. Okay, I have a little bit more stamping to do on here. A couple more colors. We're done with Old Olive. We're done with Garden Green. Let's go back to Petal Pink and what I called the Jelly Bean stamp. And I'm going to use the large Jelly Bean, and I'm just going to offload all that color in that one. Same thing, Petal Pink, and just offload all that color. And now, whoops, that one's kind of dirty. That's okay. Call it art. And maybe I'm just going to do a little bit more and make it even darker. So now I have like really dark Petal Pink. Now I'm going to go to Gorgeous Grape. That's going to be our last color. And there's one more stamp that we need to take a look at. And it's this one. And this one is for the centers. I said earlier that it kind of looks like a sea anemone or something. But again, I'm going to let the weight of the block pull some of that ink off. And this comes in. And again, I'm picking up and stamping over and over and over to kind of stamp or march that color off. All right, welcome to the party, Jacqueline. So there are my flowers. I've already fussy cut that out. Look how this one has kind of lightened and those leaves look a little bit different. You can kind of see that garden green in there. It's not real harsh. It's just kind of a cool blend. So there's my flowers that we need. And let's see, what else do I have in my stash here of surprises? I am gonna use one of the wooden leaves. This is the other wooden leaf. This is the leaf that matches the die, or I shouldn't say matches. It is the same shape. It coordinates with. Okay, and I have a label from the set here, the kit, and I'm going to stamp that with, it's the little things that matter. And I'm going to stamp it in Night of Navy because my flower outline is in Night of Navy. So that's what I'm going to do there. I like to kind of tie that in. And I'm going to pull this as far over. I'm going to center that it's that matter, but the little things is going to be off-centered intentionally. Okay. Giving me just a little space to work with on that other side there. So there's my label. Let's see, what else do I have? I've got one of the vellum rectangles in Gorgeous Grape. And from my favorite set of dies ever, I have a Stylish Shapes circle. And this is 3 inches across. So you need like a 3 1/4 inch square to cut this, but you can see it's got that stitching in there. I just really like this die. I use it all the time. I use it a lot, a lot, a lot. Okay, so my circle is going to set on here. And I haven't quite decided if I'm going to place my purple there or if I'm going to tuck it underneath. But my flower is going to come across. Okay, so we're going to have things kind of, they are not going to all be centered right on that circle. You know me, I like to off-center some things. And then we've got our leaf, our wooden leaf is going to kind of tuck back in there. So, like I say, I hadn't planned exactly what I was going to do. I think what I'm going to do is, I got ink on my, well, we're going to put that there. I'm going to put this on with dimensionals for sure. And I'm going to put my dimensionals just on this layer here so that I don't accidentally put them somewhere on the circle that is going to be overhanging, if you know what I mean. Okay, so this is just going to set right in there. This piece here is absolutely going to be centered in there. It's my other elements that we're going to let come off the edges of the page. Okay, so, and it was this one that I still haven't decided. I think we'll do that. Okay, so I'm going to lay this piece down first, and I'm just going to do just a hint of glue to hold it. Other things will hold it in place. The nice thing is this is pretty heavy cardstock vellum. And so this is, I'm going to bring this over so that it's kind of over here more towards, because we've got this other stuff that's going to hit up there, but I'm going to do this so that it's over here. And then we fill the right side. And then we'll put this on. I'm going to put this on next. I'm going to put this on with glue. And so that's going to set there. So I'm just kind of looking at it going, okay, those are the leaves I need to hit with a little glue to hold that in place. Karen says, hello, Elizabeth, just a little bit late to the party today. I hope Stella made it. Of course Stella is here, and her friend Stella. I've got several. I think on my desk I probably have about, I don't know, 7 or 8 on my desk. I should go count. You weren't the only one that was late. Jacqueline popped in and said she was a little late to the party as well, but that's okay. And so then this one, we're just going to reach that, and then that's going to come underneath. Okay, and that will determine where this one's going to sit. But you have to kind of play with it a little bit and make sure that wherever it sits, it doesn't bang into that one, okay? So I think while this, I can still wiggle it. I'm going to move it up just a little bit so I see more of it. Okay. Now I'm going to put this one on. I am paying attention to where my dimensionals are going so they don't show behind the vellum. And so this is going to come right in here. Is that where I want it? My leaf isn't showing. I got to turn it again. Reposition it. There we go. Pull it way out. All right. Now this, I'm going to move this down a little bit. Oops, I've got colliding dimensionals here with this leaf. Okay. Jacqueline, you're funny. Okay, the nice thing is the wooden elements are the same thickness as the, not our regular dimensionals, but as the dimensionals that are from the paper pumpkin kits. Those are a little bit, they're a little heavier, a little bit, just a little bit chunkier. Okay, now I feel like I have plenty of room here that I can add my flowers to, and maybe I turn it up just a little bit more. But I need to play with this and make sure that things, yeah, you have to just make sure that it'll, so if I come down a little further, okay, I'm going to make one slight adjustment. That is, I'm going to close my card and I'm going to open my tag out just a little further, like right to that edge. Okay. I'm just trying to buy enough space that I don't bang into things right there. We'll bring things down. Perfect. That's what I'm going to do. So I need a dimensional right there. Okay. And then the rest is going to get glue. Just a little bit of glue to stick onto. Okay, here we go. And see, I didn't know if I was going to go this way, but I think I'm actually going to go straight up and down because I can clear it. Just like that. There we go. Okay, so there you have it, and it stands up. I wish you could see, okay, I guess I could do it that way, but you kind of don't see. There's the dimension, but that's how it can sit. You know, if someone wants to just stand it up, it's so pretty. Okay, but that's how it's going to go in the envelope. Okay, Stella, bring us to life here. Okay, so we're just adding a little wink to those flowers. I'm even going to do a little of the leaves. And let's add some of those gems. And let's see, I don't understand why I'm always losing them. There they are. Because they're white and they just don't stand out. Okay, so now have some fun with your gem placement. And I think I'm going to do a couple here because we've got this pretty space right there. And then maybe we'll do some, I'm going to do another one. Let's see, do I want it there or there? We'll do it there. Okay. So that when it's shut, you've got those three. And let's do a couple down here. So we'll do a big one and a little. And there you have it, folks. There's our pop-up. Now, the cool thing is that you did see when we did the other card, you in the Be My Valentine class, the one that we were mimicking that I showed you earlier, you actually can do all of the spaces back here as well. So if you wanted to add some of the, Meandering Meadows paper back here and do another greeting, maybe that will be in our part 2 class as we'll finish the backside of this card here. But gosh, this is pretty. And it's just kind of fun to have a nice big statement piece that is 3D, but folds up and fits into an envelope. Because here's the envelope. Let's give it a test drive here and see if it truly does fit. It does. It fits perfectly. It's definitely going to need extra postage, but fun and pretty, right? So there you have it, folks. We have upstyled today. We've done a fun 3D pop-up card. We have made a beautiful goodie bag. And I think this is my favorite right here. I loved this card. I love the stamping in it. I love the way that I colored the flowers. If you missed that, I'll give you a hint. I used the jelly bean stamp to pounce color into all of those petals. And then we did a real pretty, just a basic pretty card featuring the elements from the kit, the dies, and even the coordinating meandering meadows or garden meadows. That's what they're called, the garden meadow dies. So we will do more with this kit next week in my Use It Up class. Don't forget, you can earn Use It Up kits for free with stamp purchases. So there's Use It Up, will be the meandering meadows next week. And also I gave a sneak peek. I'm going to do it again. We're going to give it one more plug. And that is this month's class is the Enduring Beauty bundle, hybrid bundle. And let's see here. I've just kind of, the things are, I don't even have the things put back together. Here is the big old kit. It's jam-packed with a lot of stuff. And let's see, I'm just going to give you a quick sneak peek of the cards. And then this one is actually a belly band, but I don't have it on, but look how pretty it is in the center. Oh, if you haven't joined one of my Technique Time classes, just know that we do beautiful stuff and we design the card. We always design the card front, second card, and the inside. So there you have it, folks. Join me next week for Use It Up. Join Technique Time, and I will see you again. Thanks for everything, folks. Catch you later. Bye-bye.